Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking into a really crucial document within South African divorce law, the consent paper.
Yes, absolutely. The consent paper, well, it's fundamental for creating a divorce settlement that's both structured and legally sound. It's all anchored in Section 7 of the Divorce Act, really.
Okay.
And our goal today, I think, is to properly unpack its significance, how it helps shape agreements that work for everyone involved, providing that clarity.
Good. So let's start right there. What exactly is a consent paper in this legal landscape?
At its core, it's a formal settlement agreement.
Mhm.
It's recognized, as I said, under Section 7 of the Act. Think of it as the official record of what a couple agrees on when their marriage ends.
Right, the documented terms,
Exactly, covering all those vital post-divorce areas.
like how assets are divided
Hmm.
and maintenance payments, perhaps. And critically, arrangements for any children.
Precisely. Take the children, for instance. A consent paper could lay out very specific visiting times, holidays, that sort of thing, all agreed between the parents.
So it avoids ambiguity down the line.
It certainly aims to. It lets the parties craft terms that fit their specific situation, which, can really help lessen conflict.
That customization sounds key. Now, thinking about life after the divorce, what specific areas does this paper actually regulate?
Its scope is quite broad, covering the major aspects, really. Child custody is a big one, outlining parental rights and responsibilities. And of course, child maintenance, setting out the financial support needed.
Okay.
So, for example, if one parent becomes the primary caregiver, the consent paper will normally specify the maintenance contributions the other parent needs to make towards the child's upbringing.
That establishes very clear financial duties. And it's not just about the children, is it? It also covers the division of their property.
Indeed. Both movable assets, things like cars, furniture, and immovable property, typically the family home.
Right.
Having clear agreement on how these assets are distributed, documented in the consent paper is, well, it's vital to head off potential arguments later on.
Makes sense. So we know what it is and what it covers. How does having a solid consent paper actually affect the divorce process itself?
Oh, significantly. A well-drafted consent paper can really streamline the whole process, especially in what we call unopposed divorces, where the parties agree on everything.
Which means it could be resolved much faster.
Yes, exactly. That mutual agreement means it moves through the courts more quickly, which, as you can imagine, has practical and emotional benefits.
I should think so. Less drawn-out conflict.
Absolutely. The consent paper gives a clear framework. It helps sort out disagreements about assets or how an antenuptial contract plays out much more efficiently.
But what happens if, despite their best efforts, they just cannot agree on something specific, say the division of assets? Does the whole thing stall?
Not necessarily. While the goal is full agreement, the Divorce Act does allow for a separate court hearing just on asset distribution if they reach an impasse on that point. But importantly, even if that happens, a consent paper covering all the other agreed matters still hugely simplifies the rest of the proceedings.
I see. So even with one sticking point, the document locks in the agreements already made. It really seems like a tool designed to encourage a more, well, amicable split where possible.
That's a good way to put it. It acts as that formal record, providing a stable base as they move forward separately.
Okay, so let's summarize then. The consent paper is clearly a vital instrument in South African divorces. It's the formal way couples record their agreements on really big issues, dividing assets, caring for children.
Yes, and the key takeaway for you listening is that creating a consent paper is exercising your right to actually negotiate the divorce terms. It paves the way for, hopefully, a smoother transition, less conflict later, and aims for fairness.
It really does underscore how crucial clear communication and planning ahead are when you're navigating these major life changes. Thank you. That was very insightful.